Oh, the show's almost done. It's almost 8.
That's it. Almost is 8. It's too bad we don't have a show tonight, but what the hell?
No,
40
here
seconds.
in Second Life, it's 5.
1 minute, Miss Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Break a leg. Have fun.
You know where break a leg comes from, don't you?
Yeah, but I'll let you explain it.
Okay. Back in the Shakespearean days and stuff, when the curtain came down, the piece of wood that hit the floor was called the leg. And if you had enough curtain calls, it may break, and that was called break a leg.
Break a leg.
Here we go. We're ready to rock and roll. Ho, ho, ho. And here we are. We're off. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday.
Yay.
As you know, next week, Doc Grun will be standing in for the show. Yep.
Okay.
I'll be on the beach. Now, I had some questions regarding what I'm doing tonight, and I thought I would tell you, because I have a problem attracting men in Second Life, and I wasn't sure why at all. And so, Dr. Fran suggested that I wear this dress, and I asked why. She said, well, it'll prove to the men that you're not a virgin. And so I've been wearing this dress ever since.
There's blood on it.
There you go.
Oh, hi, men. How are you?
Hello, Thaler.
There was a double joke in there. Some of you would pass, some didn't. So, everybody having fun?
Always.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
We have a great musician tonight, too, Alex May, who you guys all like.
Oh, my God, he's so funny.
Yeah. Yep, at 6 p.m. Yep. And I think, Second Life, you got to go back and think about this. I mean, how many of you have actually fallen in love in Second Life? I once, way back when, did. She turned out to have a harem filled with other girls, slave girls. I was one of her slave girls for a while. But I'm sort of a funny sort of slave girl, because she expected all the girls to stay at her place, and I said, well, no, I can't stay here every night, so I want to go back to my place. So she let me, and that got the other little bees in the hornet going. And then I said, well, I really can't come on certain days. I was not a really good slave. I have news for you. This is not the kind of slave that people want, Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so eventually she got very upset with me, and she came over. This is when I didn't know much about the Second Life. And she said, all right, she just wanted to give me a hug and a kiss. And that would be it. She'd go off. So she gave me a hug and a kiss. And the next thing I know, I collapsed on the floor in Second Life, and I couldn't move. And I didn't know if she'd killed me in Second Life. I didn't know that, it took me 30 minutes to realize I could log off and log back on again and see what happened. You remember that stuff in Second Life when stuff happened to you and you thought, oh, shit, now I'm really broken, right?
Caged.
Yeah.
Remember the first time you sat in a chair and you logged off and you got back in and you were sitting and you didn't know what to do about it forever? You were just lost. And then you had to retrace your steps all the way back to that chair to unsit. You could not unsit anywhere else. I don't know how many of you remember those days.
True.
Yeah.
I still do that.
Yeah. I had a couple of friends. It wasn't sitting on a chair. They had ended up on a sex bed and got stuck that way. You should see what it looked like.
Yeah, and then the sex bed gets deleted, so there's stuff like that.
15 trim babies later.
Oh, yeah. And those babies. I mean, those talking tummies and the babies that talk to. And I remember that, there used to be these little kids that walked around with their parents in Second Life. I don't know if you remember these families. You know?
Still do.
Yep.
Do they really? I haven't.
The adopt kids, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like going up to the person who's the adult, which is usually the kid. No, I like to go up to the person and say, I think I saw this child on a milk carton in Second Life. Yeah. Second Life, love in Second Life. Well, we got Valentine's Day next week, not this week, but next week. Thursday, right? Is it Thursday or is it Friday? Friday.
Let me check.
Friday the 12th.
Friday
You can see
the
how many people
14th,
have dates for next Friday. don't
Yeah.
remember what
Next
day it is.
Wednesday. The 12th is a Wednesday. Oh, for the love of
Oops,
Mike.
look, it's your girlfriend calling to see if you
Hello,
really
hello.
remember.
Did you get me candy again this year?
Did you get me any candy? Oh, yeah, don't forget the candy. And they make you buy all the stuff, cards and candies and flowers. And the worst of all the ads on TV, I think, is the one where the teddy bear, they get the teddy bear for it. And the girl in the office is just so excited by this teddy bear that's come into her office. You've seen that, right? Unbelievable. Yeah.
No.
So I
not
think you
TV.
should.
Should have left the
What?
power on. I should have left my mic on. You might have found that funny. That was a wrong number
Yeah.
from someone who wanted AOL customer service.
AOL. You should
Oh,
call
you know
me
what?
back.
That's him. Wait. That's him. He's calling back. Oh, let's see how this goes. Hello, AOL. Hello?
You've got mail.
You got mail. That's how he should have
If you
answered.
can't access your mail, just reboot it. Have you tried turning it off and on? Just turn it off and on. All right, there we go.
Update your drivers.
Apparently that worked.
That was always the way, right? That was always the way. Turn it on and off, update your drivers, unplug the entire computer. Remember when you had to unplug the damn thing? You remember
Yes.
that?
Are you sitting in
Yeah.
front of
Oh,
it and
my
is it turned
When
on?
Control Alt Delete didn't work,
I better put
Try
the phone
powering
over
it
here
off.
so it doesn't make
I used to love calling up
Put
and
it in
saying,
the box and send it back.
yeah, I'd like calling up and they'd say, are you sitting in front of the computer? I said, no, that's why it's not working. You know, oh, yeah. I mean, that was unbelievable, all the stuff we had to get through to get to this point. God, do you remember we used to have to actually open up the computer and try to get the dust out from inside? I wasn't dusting
Yep.
the house. Why should I dust the inside of that? My refrigerator was begging me to dust it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I had to bring out a memory card. I forgot to de-electrify myself. The entire thing was fried, the entire board. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's you got to ground yourself. Yep.
How many people remember the way a dial? Yes. And actually, Alaska, just so you know, this was it. And there are many, many men today that have to go to psychiatric help because they can't get it up unless they hear. That's, you see? I remember the IRC rooms. They were so much fun. A comma was considered an orgasm.
Shorthand.
And then came Second Life, and I couldn't believe it. I ran into this guy that was actually having sex with several women at the same time because all he was doing was hitting macros that had all these lines in it. So, you know, how exciting is that? Yeah. I'll tell you, the first time I tried to make a macro was the same thing like trying to load my Zao. I remember I came here in Second Life with that Zao. You had to put in all your dance things and your walking things and everything else.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, I
God.
came
Your
across
very
that
first
yesterday.
AL,
Looking it
yeah,
up.
animation overrider.
Yeah? Oh, yeah,
Oh,
unbelievable.
so bad.
Yeah, that would worse. And you buy the thing. How many things have you bought in Second Life that didn't work because you didn't know how to make them work? Zows were one of them. I remember throwing one out after another one, or loading them up with stuff.
Making my first AO, I cried and cried and cried.
Yes.
I couldn't make it. Oh.
Wasn't it terrible? It's just terrible. I mean, it really
so
was.
Hard.
I remember not knowing what an AO was and walking around like a duck and going, why does that person look so good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember buying my first.
Avatar animates so
I
well.
look like that. What is that?
Yeah. I remember that I bought my first skin, and I was standing naked. I said, "Oh God, some guy made this skin because the vagina's not in the right place." His girlfriend must be having a real cervix problem. I'm having a cervix problem. Reboot. No, that was terrible. But that's true. They were unbelievable. And everybody had Mexican nipples. Do you remember that, girls? We all had little Mexican nipples, no matter how much our hair looked. I mean, those were the days.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys.
What are
But this
Mexican nipples?
They were
I have
brown.
Urban
Everybody had little
Dictionary
brown
with this.
nipples. What? What?
Oh.
I think of Urban Dictionary. That
I don't look at my avatar naked very often, so I wouldn't know.
I
Well,
see
you
Fran
missed
more
it.
often.
Let me know.
I've had like 3 baths in 4 years, you know. I mean, come on.
Oh, okay.
There's a cleansing.
Now, here's an answer to virtual love that I like. It's when the feelings and emotions associated with what goes on in your online virtual life bleed into your real life and become so palatable they can no longer be denied. The feelings are real even when the context is completely surreal, such as in Second Life. A person can grow to feel love for another who they met only in virtual reality. Similarly, a person can feel real pain and an aching sense of loss over somebody associated with their virtual reality. Yeah. Remember? I think there was actually
for
a
bringing
murder
that
in
up.
First Life because of a
Yeah,
virtual
thank
love
you.
affair.
Right.
What?
there
What did
was.
you
Wasn't
say?
there in Japan? Wasn't there? Right.
Yeah.
What? A killing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
in
think in
Japan.
Japan, yeah, somebody
Yeah.
killed somebody because they were having an affair in virtual
Yes.
world.
Yes,
Oh,
that did
Yes.
happen.
Terrible.
It was in
Yeah,
Japan.
that did happen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember.
And in case you missed it, in Brussels, okay, somebody in the early days of Second Life actually filed rape charges in Second Life in a Brussels police station, and they came into Second Life looking for the perpetrator. Gotta love it. I could just see these two cops, Hercules Poirot and what's the Pink Panther,
Hercule
what's his
Poirot.
name? Inspector Clouseau and Hercules
All right.
Poirot.
Incluso.
Have you assaulted anybody here in Second Life? We're looking for
Are you
somebody.
expecting
that
a
is-
boom? There's a boom. I'm expecting a boom.
But you know, they take this stuff seriously. And then there was another couple. They both weighed like 400 pounds each, right? And he
Mhm.
was having an affair, and she found out that the person in Second Life was even bigger than she was in First Life, and she was so upset that he went for a bigger woman. Gotta love it.
Reality, size of-
Yeah.
Someone's a
Second
chubby
Life.
chaser.
What?
Someone's a chubby chaser.
Yeah.
Well, also to the answer to your question, Lauren, I think everybody falls in love in Second Life.
Absolutely. Yeah. So here's somebody. This was the perfect guy. He said, after I was divorced, I was so depressed that I thought I would never fight for, she said, I never would find the right man. That is definitely somebody looking for virtual love, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because, you know, we get disappointed in real life, you know. The guy's too short, he's too tall, he can't get it up, he doesn't have any money, his job sucks, you know, whatever. But in Second Life, he's perfect.
He owns his own island.
There was
And
a
he
guy
doesn't leave
here.
dirty laundry around the house either.
That's right. No wet towels in the bathroom on the floor, right?
Or left on
And
the
Nope.
he's
bed.
got
right?
all his hair and his clothes and his shape, whatever you like.
No pubic hair on the soap.
Speaking of, Laura,
God.
I'm married
up
to
your
the
dirty
same man in
prims.
both worlds, but I made his avatar.
You made his avatar in
For a
First Life or
movie, and
Second
he
Life?
said,
Which one?
he was
Which-
supposed to come in for a date tonight. I wanted him to come to your show because we work
Oh.
together, obviously, and he hasn't been in. But we had a bet about something, and he said if you win the bet, I'll come to Second Life for a date. He hasn't been in since we got married in July, like 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Except to be in a
Oh.
movie when I brought him in and driven him myself.
Oh
It's
dear.
crazy.
Well. Yeah, the Valentine's Day. Well, you see, maybe he'll show up next year for Valentine's Day. You know, that was one of the terrible things in Second Life, Valentine's Day, and you had a lover, and you made a Valentine's Day date, and they didn't show. You really sort of knew it was over at that point, right?
Mm.
I mean,
Aw.
right?
Oh.
So, this was cute. I read about this. While waiting for my first appointment in the reception room of a new dentist, I noticed his certificate hanging on the wall. It gave his full name, and thinking hard, I remembered that a tall, handsome boy with the same name had been in my high school class 36 years ago. Upon seeing him, however, I quickly discarded any such thought. This balding, gray-haired man with deeply lined face was way too old to have been my classmate. After he examined my teeth, I asked him if he had attended the local high school. Yes, he replied. When did you graduate? I asked. He answered, in 1971. Why? You were in my class, I exclaimed. He looked at me closely, and then the thoughtless idiot asked, what did you teach?
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. Let's bring up, let's see who, Catfish, you haven't gone first in a while, have you? Or have you? Did you go first last time? You did, didn't you? Maybe Catboy didn't go.
Yeah, I
All
went
the
first
cats.
last
Who didn't
time,
go?
but I'll go first every
No,
time.
no. We'll get Catboy up
Whatever's
here
good for
first.
you.
Come on,
All right.
Catboy. It's Catboy's turn
All
to
right.
be up here first.
Whee! All right.
Boy.
Yay. I haven't been first in a while, actually.
Oh my God, you look like a Nico rapper.
I look like one of those Gashapot characters. Yeah. I decided to wear this in honor of St. Valentine's Day, or what most people around Second Life know as the reminder that you're desperately single day. I wanted to make a couple announcements before getting started. On February 23rd, Mad P is going to be having a celebrity auction that I'm going to be emceeing for a couple of hours. Lauren is too. And the money's going to charity for helping out starving people in Africa. And
The
it's
22nd?
on the 23rd of this month. So it's something that's sort of been put together at the last minute, and it's at Mad P. And if anyone needs a landmark, I've got it for you. And yeah, they kind of called. They were looking for. The fundraising is for in Kenya for people.
Yeah, it's for
what they're
Kenya.
doing-
It's for making a McDonald's in the downtown Kenya.
Oh no.
It's for helping out isolated areas for people to make solar cookers, water pumps. I did a little bit of research. You know, toilets, that sort of thing. You know, they're
Send me
trying
a
to
note.
improve the
Send
quality
me
of their lives.
info, and I'll post it in the
Yep.
in my theater group as well. Yeah, for sure.
All right, I got a note card for that. I'll give it to you just a little bit later. Oh, another announcement. Me and Timmery are going to be doing a little comedy routine next week. She's doing a little practice for it, just something we put together at the last minute.
Here? You can do it
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Do you want to do it right
I hope
Little
Gio,
Here.
so I can see it.
here? No, okay. Well, maybe we'll put it off for 2 weeks and then you can see it, but we're planning on next week. And that's it. That's all the announcements for this week. So, before I start, I wanted to ask, did anyone catch Super Bowl over the weekend? Me neither.
No.
I live
No,
in Denver.
I
Don't
mean,
even
no,
go
let
there.
me
Oh,
tell you.
come on. I went for the Seahawks. They have such cute uniforms.
It's not that surprising and no one here is watching it. I mean, you know, there's something wrong when the event you're watching it for the commercials. I mean, you know, I'm sorry.
I
There's something
liked
wrong
the
with
Super
that.
Bowl. It was great.
You loved it? I mean, 40
Yes.
to 8? I would have thought that'd be pretty boring when it gets
43 to
it
8,
gets
no, but
to
it was
20
really
to
good. It
3.
was
It gets a
fabulous.
little lopsided. All right.
No,
A lot of cringing.
They
Yeah.
worked really hard. It was two great teams playing
Yeah.
very hard, and one team just shut them down pretty hard. But it wasn't like a weak team against a powerful team. It's just the other team was pretty good. Oh, you're just upset because your team wasn't in the Super Bowl.
Well, my team was, and we lost.
Well, you know what that reason was, don't you? They smoked too much marijuana. The Seahawks were cut back for a
Thanks a lot. No.
Well, a lot of people, like most of my friends that watch it, they're watching it for the commercials. And the most stupid thing I would have ever say recently, well, I thought Lauren was talking about earlier, was the Coke. Aired the commercial, which someone was singing "America the Beautiful" in different languages. And right after that, I didn't see this, but the news has been making a big deal out of it. Many people expressed outrage on Twitter and trended the hashtag boycott Coke for what they say is desecrating the national anthem, and they said there should be a law banning the singing the song in anything but English. I wanted to go over a few flaws in their logic. America the Beautiful is not the national anthem. It's a song that was written by a lesbian who left the Republican Party in 1928 for being too xenophobic. Finally, Coke has not suddenly sandbagged conservatives with this commercial. They've been making commercials about racial unity for about half a century now, with songs like "I Would Like to Teach the World to Sing." So it's obvious that this commercial is like spreading chum in the waters of stupidity and then sprinkling rainbow glitter on their tears. And that's all I have to say about that. Oh, but I did learn recently, the people were saying that they should be speaking American. You know, they were saying, you mean English? I learned recently, this is real, in the state of Illinois, there was an official decree that the official language of Illinois was American from the year 1923 to 1969. And it was repealed because obviously it must be too difficult to get people to speak Algonquin. If you think about it. Okay. Now, most recently, Rob Ford's in the news again. Rob Ford has come to the defense of Justin Bieber. He said, before we go judging I'm not making this up. He actually defended him. He said, before everyone goes judging Justin Bieber so much, remember how the rest of us, what we were like when we were 19 years old, when we were all obviously mixing booze with prescription drugs and drag racing in rented Lamborghinis. So who cast the first stone?
Ah, my youth.
You too?
Yeah, I did that all the time. Lamborghini, Ferraris.
Rented
Yeah.
Lamborghinis, dude.
All the time, yeah.
Comedian I wanted to give you a quote from comedian Charlie Broker. Also said we should feel sorry for Justin Bieber because imagine what life must be like in his shoes. Every time you wake up, you look in the mirror, you see Justin Bieber staring back at you. He sleeps with you. He eats with you. You hear his thoughts. You even have to jerk him off. If that was my life, I would inject heroin into my eyeball, set the Lamborghini on fire, and deliberately drive it into a brick wall at 200 miles an hour. Okay, in the news. In the state of Maine, troopers responded to a domestic call where screaming was heard coming from the home. These horrible screams. Only to find out the noise was being caused by a big fat pig having sex with 3 sows in heat. Upon hearing the news, Rob Ford immediately denied he was there because he was busy trying to score crack in Vancouver at the time. Okay, in the news, Mayor Rob Ford was ticketed for drunkenly jaywalking in Vancouver's downtown east side. Does anyone know what Vancouver's downtown east side is famous for? It's Cracktown. It's famous for great jaywalking, and it's famous for selling an awful lot of crack in that area. What the hell is Toronto's mayor doing 3,000 miles away in Vancouver? No one has said anything. Nothing.
Fundraising.
Apparently his dealer at home is too busy or he's in jail or something like that. But no one has given any explanation as to why Mayor Ford was in Vancouver, but it happened. He was caught there and he got ticketed for jaywalking. When he was asked what he was doing there, the mayor claimed he was just window shopping. Not buying anything. Just speaking of big fat pigs, Iowa. Oh, you're gonna love this one. Iowa recently had a bacon festival. How yummy is that? Bacon festival, which also featured a wedding. A man named Tom Watson married the love of his life, Tricia Snyder, saying that saying his new bride comes second only to bacon. But she appreciates that.
Okay.
Afterwards, the guests received servings of pork loins. Tricia commented that when her husband intended to pork her on her wedding night, this is not what she had in mind. Oh, okay. Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day. Has anyone heard Groundhog Day? Just kind of came and went without hardly notice because they had the Super Bowl in the same weekend, but it was this weekend. Groundhog Day. Puxatawny Phil predicted 6 more weeks of winter. Considering how many times he's been proven wrong in the past, I kind of find this to be a bit of a relief. I couldn't tell you if he actually saw his own shadow, or did he wasn't able to dig himself out from under a giant mountain of snow he must have been buried under. But in this town of Toccoa, Georgia, is jumping in on this groundhog trend thing. Toccoa, Georgia is the birthplace of DeForest Kelley, the man who played Bones in Star Trek. Remember him? Damn it, Jim. Right. He decided, the town of Toccoa, Georgia decided to have their own Groundhog Day and celebrate. They're celebrating by using a groundhog that's been named after the Enterprise physician. The groundhog's called Dr. Bones McCoy. And instead of predicting the weather, they just print a quote from the groundhog in the local newspaper saying, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a rodent, not a meteorologist." And the last joke. The last joke for the night. So well. Up till now.
It's a good one.
Not to worry, Catboy. Your little candy is melting right off your dress.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard.
No, that was a good one.
Lights up here are starting to make me naked. You don't want to see that.
Oh, God.
Okay. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love this joke coming from a cross-dressing catboy. Yeah, the U.S. Board of Health is going to allow gynecologists to treat men who are transgendered or suffer from gender confusion.
Gender
I don't know how it's supposed to help. I mean, no matter how confused the patient's going to be, the doctor's still going to look under that dress and say, "That looks like a dick to me." Yeah, joke about gender confusion came across me from Cat Boy. That's like Rob Ford actually ripping on Bieber for being an irresponsible drunk.
Yeah.
And that's all I have for tonight, everybody.
Oh,
Night,
bravo,
night.
bravo, bravo.
Yeah,
Very
but-
good, very good. Yeah. So I was really amazed. I mean, there was a piece of news out that we just got earlier that apparently the Chinese Jade Rabbit rover, apparently was shutting down after experiencing abnormalities on the moon. Apparently, its last tweet went over. Oh no, Tiananmen Square here too.
Oh, that poor little robot.
Yeah, poor little rover. Yeah, right. Wait till one of the Americans get up back up there. Hey, come over here, Jack Rabbit. Yeah. Everybody having fun?
Oh yeah.
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 Oh, wait.
Microsoft named their next new chief, and apparently he is working on something beyond the cloud. They're going to call it Up in Smoke. Yeah, and that's not that good, is it? Well, back then. How many of you have met so many people that have partnered in Second Life? I just saw on Facebook this fellow that I know. It's got to be his 26th partnering in the last 4 years. Easy, okay? And I really have suggested this, to Second Life because, they did let us have more than our original number of groups that we could be in. How many were the original groups? 25? And now they're how many? 50? 100?
42.
42. How'd they come up with that number anyhow? 42. Why not? What was that like? But anyhow,
Because it's the
I
answer.
think
It's a secret of life.
I really think that they should have a pull-down menu, and you could see all the people anybody ever partnered, and there could be a star system like Netflix on them. I think that's the way to do it, right? Don't you think so? And I want my money back for those 50 lindens I used to pay in order to give people like great builder, great this, great that. Do you remember that way back when we pay 50 lindens so your friends would get a little badge? Yeah, it was like TripAdvisor in Second Life. and then they just ended it. Yeah, it was kind of you only got 1.5 stars. Oh, that's a sad thing. Yeah. Yeah, but people used to beg you, would you give me and if you gave them one for a builder, they wanted you to give one for each of them. And we spent all that money, and then they just kept it. Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah, Second Life. Yeah, right, exactly. So this guy said his wife asked him, "What are you doing today?" And I said, "Nothing." And she said, "What? You did that yesterday?" He said, "Yeah, but I haven't finished it yet."
That's good.
Yeah. So there we go. Virtual love. Oh my God, don't you love it? How many of you ever went? There was a site here in Second Life, like a Match.com. You could actually get set up with a date with somebody else, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
still do
so
that now.
I wanted to fill in, so it had filling in information. So I didn't really know what to do. So I got in touch with the owner. So you think you can find me a date? And let me tell you, he had his doubts. What was that called? AV Match. Wasn't it avmatch.com or something like that? Did anybody use it? Did anybody try it? Not one person in here. Okay. So you guys hang out at better places. You missed that avmatch.com. You should look it up, all right? And see what you can come up with.
Oh, there's one right now. It's called Love Dating Service. That's still active.
Love dating service?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you remember? I was amazed way back. There was a marriage counselor in Second Life, okay? And where did he locate his office? Where did he locate his office? His office overlooked and was right next door to a major nude beach colony club here in Second Life. I mean, that is really not the way to get people back
Try
together
it before
again.
you buy it.
Honey, stop looking out the windows. Honey, we're here to work on our marriage. Honey, hey, come on back here. Stop taking your shirt off. Don't go down there. No. Wow, he's gone. Wow.
Look at the prims on that one.
Yeah. And there was another one, a divorce attorney here in Second Life. There was a divorce attorney. Can you imagine they were going to help you departner in Second Life? I mean, come on. You're going to give him lindens? It'll cost you 25 lindens to departner. You needed somebody to help you with this? But I went over to his place. And he had a desk there. And he had 27 different sex poses on the couches, floors, and everywhere else in his office.
Therapy.
Therapy, right.
He's probably just
God,
an
I love
IT
him.
guy that tells you what button to push.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really great. And you know, early days, Dr. Fran, do you remember the early days when there were really psychiatrists and psychologists in Second Life trying to help people out? Remember that?
Mhm.
Is Dr. Fran gone? Maybe Dr. Fran is gone.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
I'm
she's
not
gone.
here. She's probably in Blender.
All right, do you remember that back with the psychology? I like testing
it
to see
when
if people are still here.
But I have to mute because I'm noisy apparently.
Yeah, but do you remember they had psychologists, psychiatrists here in Second Life? They really
Yes, I
had
do.
set up.
They were
Yeah.
serious about that, and then they realized
They were
Yep.
so serious about it. So I went over to one. I said, well, maybe you can help me. And they said, what? I said, well, I think I might be schizophrenic. And they said, oh, well, we can work on that. I said, yeah, because I have multiple personalities, and I really like them. Can you make me enjoy them even more? Yeah, that didn't help them out at all. All right, next up, let's bring up, is Magnus in the room? Magnus, are you here in the room? Can you come up here? Come on up here, Magnus. Let's
Yeah.
go.
All right.
All right, Mr.
Oh
Brody.
boy.
Woo!
Evening, Lauren. Hi.
Hello,
Right.
hello.
Hello,
Right.
hello. Can you all hear me, first?
No,
Because
we can't
last
hear you.
time
Yeah, we hear you.
I was a bit quiet, so, you know.
All right, we hear you. Look at those boots. Whoa. Socks,
Yeah.
shoes, whatever.
Yeah, well, cool. You know, I'm British. Oh, that was the first.
that explains everything.
That was the first joke right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. Well, I tell you, my Aunt Marjorie has been ill for so long, we've started to call her. I can't believe she's not better. My girlfriend. It's actually difficult to say what she does. She sells seashells on the seashore.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Wait, I get it now.
We didn't get it. Can you do that again? Can you do
So
that
she
for the
said
slightly...
on the seashell.
Ooh, I
Yeah,
got off
yeah.
the stage.
My girlfriend, it's difficult to say what she does. She sells seashells on the seashore. I got me with that one. Okay.
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom. If you're ever being chased, if you're ever being chased by a police dog, try not to run through a tunnel, then go on one of those cute little seesaw things, then jump through a hoop of fire. They're trained for that sort of. Do you know, if they make it illegal to wear a burqa or a veil at work, beekeepers are going to be really serious. So I phoned up the spiritual leader of Tibet. He sent me a large goat with a long neck. Turns up I found Dalai Lama.
Oh. Dial alarm.
Wow.
All right.
Do you know, the easiest job in the world is an Australian psychiatrist. G'day, how you doing? No worries? Next. I didn't know if you ever fallen asleep whilst eating a plate of cauliflower and then waken up and were in the clouds.
Okay.
I'm very British, really. I even ordered a book on the internet. how to have absolutely nothing to do with your neighbours, ever. Unfortunately, I was out when it was delivered. Militant feminists, I take my hat off to them. They don't like it though. The pollen count. Now that's a difficult job. Especially if you've got hay fever.
We're in the middle of counting. That's you!
I don't know about you, but I always hate sitting in traffic. Usually because I always get run over. The worst job I ever had was as a forensicologist for the United Nations. One time I thought I'd come across a mass grave of thousands of snowmen. Turns out it was just a field of carrots. I was once arrested for playing chess in the street. I said, "Is it because I'm black?" My parents, they told me always they had to make a lot of sacrifices to pay for my education. They were both druids.
Did we lose him?
Next word.
Did we lose him?
Hello, Magnus.
Magnus? Maybe his
Magnus,
mic
if you lost
came
voice.
undone.
Oh, right, I'm back. I tell you.
Back.
Yeah, it was those druids that got to me. But I can tell you now, one of my most prized possessions is a picture of me with the awesome pop group REM. I can't show you it, but that's me in the corner. My grandfather, I'm very proud of him. He invented the cold air balloon. It never really took off. Do you know the animal that kills the most people in the world? The hepatitis B.
Ooh.
I recently bought the box set of Doctor Who, and I tell you, I watched it back to back. Unfortunately, I wasn't the one facing the TV.
Okay.
Do you know, I went out with this girl the other night. She wore this real slinky number. She looked great coming down the stairs.
Okay.
Oh, I get it.
Take a minute.
Slow on my brain, slow on my brain.
Magnus, you are demented. I love it.
A lot of people like cats, apparently. Take the Pope, for example. Take the Pope, for example. I read recently he was a cataholic.
Good.
Spiders. Proving that men everywhere have at least one use. Now, ladies, L'Oreal, because you think you're worth it, that's the effectiveness of advertising. I was driving the other day and the police stopped me. They asked me to get the sheep off the road.
Sheep. Okay.
Most of my relatives are police marksmen. Apart from my granddad, who was a bank robber. But recently he died, surrounded by his family. I turned the car on the other day in the car park at work. Embarrassing.
Turn the car. Okay.
That must be an English.
Boo.
I turned the car on the other day in the car park at work. Embarrassing. Oh, okay. Okay. Another
Thank you so
British
much,
joke.
White Queen.
Thanks for that translation. It was slightly more amusing than the original joke.
White Queen.
I-
to it.
Do you know what though? Do you ever go through self-service checkouts in the supermarket? Someone who looks about 15 always decides if I look over 25 and I'm allowed to purchase alcohol. Well, when I was 15, everyone looked over 50. So how do they actually judge? And lastly this evening, to the man on crutches, dressed in camouflage, who recently stole my wallet, I say to you, you can hide, but you can't run.
Very nice.
Whoa, bravo. Well done. Fabulous. That was great. Come on, let's give it up. Let's give up a good round of applause.
Yay!
Bravo. See? That was a great show.
Bravo.
Fabulous. Yep. We're going to bring up right away.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Straight to Catfish and close out the show with Doc after. But let's bring up Catfish now. Catfish, you here? You ready to rock it? Okay,
Yes,
come on
I'm
up here,
and
Catfish.
I'm working on my British accent as we speak. I'm going to try to say, sorry, Sir Grace.
I like that White Queen was able to translate that one joke for us. Turn on. That was really.
Yeah, I really liked that as well because I thought I'd failed at that point. I was really grateful to her.
I had to get an oil change. First of all, it's great to see all of you guys. I'm back in SL after a very long break. I took a job where I work at night, and I explained to my boss I need to be off on Tuesdays. And my boss, who is a woman, hit me with that question we all dread to hear, right? So I went up to her and I said, I have to be off on Tuesdays because I want to do comedy in Second Life. And she looked at me very seriously and said, "What's Second Life?"
No.
Yes.
No,
and you try to
no.
think of an answer. And so I said, well, it's sort of a thing online. So I was working that Tuesday. So I came up to her a little bit later. I said, look, I got to be off on Tuesdays because I want to do comedy in Second Life. And she said, what's Second Life? And I said, well, it's this thing where we sit around and we read comic books to children dying of lycanthropy. And it cheers them up before they go. And she said, you can't fool me. I know that lycanthropy was cured of penicillin in 1942. It's like, right. That's why we don't see any more werewolves. So a week later, after working again on a Tuesday, I went up to her and I said, look, I need to be off on Tuesday because I want to do comedy in Second Life. And she said, what's Second Life? And I said, that's a code word me and my bros use before we go out and get really drunk on Jägermeister. And here I am. So it's been a while, and a lot of things have changed since I've been back for about 2 weeks now, and it's really exciting. But the one thing that started to affect my real life, because have you ever been in Walmart or whatever your big box store is in your particular part of the world, and you see somebody that looks like an avatar, and you're like, oh, you feel your hand raising because you're like wanting to click and read their profile and stuff. And it's just not gonna work.
Then you get into trouble and get arrested.
Well, it depends on how far away you are, because there's no distance in Second Life. But anyway, so I've made some changes to my avatar. I got a fancy IO. I should turn it on too, because it's probably better if I turn my IO on. And the only thing is every like 15 seconds or so, I scratch my right leg, and I haven't figured out what's going on, other than I've developed an unexplained rash in RL. And I think that's going to cause a problem later on. One of the things that's happened in Second Life since I've been gone is, see, there I go, scratching my leg, is they've got this thing called mesh. It's new. Well, it's probably not new to you, but it's new to me. And I noticed that one of the things about mesh is when you're on a sim and you drop in now, all of the women's lower torso is missing. They're showing their boobs and they're bald-headed. And I don't know. Okay, thank you for the laugh. It's one of those things that's kind of created this sort of disturbing thing, because I'm not used to seeing women that way. So I asked a friend about what mesh was, and they explained how mesh is really cool and it's all these new clothes. So they got me some mesh clothes, and I got them, and I like them because I really like being able to cut out like huge chunks of my body in order to wear a t-shirt. That's worked out really good. I ran into an old friend, and I said, I found about this thing mesh. It's really cool. And she said, yeah, I have a mesh head. And I'm like, wait a minute. You cut off your head to have a mesh? I just couldn't handle it. It's like a little much. Does anybody in here have a mesh head?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Nope.
Another thing that happened was, and I'm just going to real quickly run through this, I went to the Excite store when I was here, and since I've been upgrading my avatar, I was relieved to see that the stumps that you have to stick your manhood on in order to get it upgraded were still there. That's one of those things you never quite get used to, but I decided to upgrade my my maleness because, Second Life doesn't give us any. We kind of have to scrounge for it. And so rather than do it at the store, I decided to go to the marketplace, and I was not real good at it, and I accidentally bought a female starter pack the first time.
Something to play with.
It was unfortunate, but what the hell, I was, whatever. I was determined. So I got a male starter pack.
Did you unpack the female?
It's worse than that. It's actually much worse than that. So I unpacked the male starter pack, and I said, well, I'm at home. I'm alone. Nobody's around. And apparently they've got it all coded now where you have to go to the website and everything. It's really complicated. But so I attached my new Excite X4, and I was watching local chat, and it said Excite X4 Jasmine unpacking. And I'm like, wait a minute, Jasmine is a very strange name for a man toy. And
maybe it's a color.
It's maybe it's a color, but no, unfortunately, after about 15 seconds I looked down, and I had amazing gender identity crisis because I had a angina.
Been there, done
and
that.
Gynecologist now.
I was going to go see a gynecologist. And so I looked at it, and of course it's very disconcerting because your whole identity a lot of times is based around what you keep in your genes. But I'm trying to figure it out, so I load the HUD thinking it'll be easy, because I don't know if you ever saw the old Excite HUD, but it was like about 5 buttons. Not really complicated. It was like on, off, you're done, smoke a cigarette. And not complicated at all. And I loaded this new one, and it's like, it looks like you're piloting the space station into, geospatial orbit. It's got all these things in it. And I'm like, holy crap, I can't even work. I mean, this is just incredibly complicated. And And I tried to figure it out, and finally I got it working, and got everything to where it was at least looked the right way. And I asked a friend to come over and see if everything worked. And of course, she clicked on it and it said your vagina is aroused. And I'm like, uh-oh. Anyway, I finally got everything.
What are you gonna do now?
Yeah, what am I gonna do now? Well, apparently, like 3 visits to tech support, but you got to hit. Something's wrong when you're talking about something as fundamental as your sexuality, and you've got to contact tech support. It's like,
Yeah, vagina's aroused,
yeah,
man. You gotta deal with that.
I purchased. I got a Jasmine, and anyway, I went through the whole thing, but everything got worked out.
Oh, yay!
I hope you're not saying yay because you think later on you're going to get to see it.
Boo!
Because that's not going to happen. I got to give a shout out to a couple of my friends who are here. Tiger Lily Lady is here, and it's very nice to see you, and thank you for coming. And a new friend of mine, Sarah Grace, is here, who doesn't wear shoes, and I support not wearing shoes. I want to go out on this. I was talking to somebody, and this is kind of serious. I don't know if this is really comedy or if I'm just ranting. But I was talking to somebody at a Zingo parlor, which, as you know, Zingo parlors are what keeps SL together. And I was talking to this lady, and she's like one of those people who are here but not here. You know what I'm talking about? They're here but not here. She's like here, but she's really too good to be here. So I'm like, hey, how you doing? How you like it? And it's like, well, I'm here with my RL husband, and we come in and we go to the nude beaches, but we're not really playing Second Life. And I'm like, you go to the nude beaches, but you're not really playing Second Life, so you're just pervs basically here. She says, well, Second Life is not real, and we don't do any role playing. And I'm like, okay, you're married in real life, and you don't think wife and husband are a fucking role that you have to play? I don't know what planet you live on. But it's all role playing, my friend. Anyway, I'm Catfish String. That's my time. Hopefully they have
bravo!
Excellent.
Back every week. We're so happy to be back here. Absolutely. I'm not going to say much now. I'm going to bring Doc up in a minute. He's going to close the show down. We got Alex May, who's playing, and we all love him. So those of you who haven't heard him, you're about there. A great show. I'll just finish this. avmatch.com still exists. You can go up there, and there are a lot of people and explanations online right now are people like Exciting and Fun, Love to Laugh, Phantom Machine, Keep It Real, Totally Random Silly, Hello Sweet Tea, and I like this one, Secret Submissive. How secret is that? I don't know. Doc, you're on. And thank you, everyone. You close the show out.
Okay, real quick. Next week, we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to be hosting the first hour. The second hour is going to be a live broadcast of Be My Guest Live, a variety show designed to showcase talented musical and comedy artists. In other words, people who get paid for doing what we do for free. Thanks, Lauren. It features music, comedy, and short film designed to treat audiences to performers they'll want to continue to experience. So come here and see us, and then get the real comedians after us. Okay. Everybody, I'm sure, watched the Super Bowl, at least for the commercials or something. Wasn't Bruno Mars great? I thought he was really great. And how about the halftime show between the Seahawks and the Broncos? Oh, that was pretty good too, right? 15 minutes of football and 3 hours of Seattle high-fiving. Well, I didn't get to see the first half. I was actually driving from my home to my apartment because I come down here on Sunday nights. So I went from a house full of drunk people to an empty apartment. Everybody say, "Aww." Okay. But my Roomba did its best to welcome me home. God bless it. While I was gone, it was busy all weekend cleaning up the house, and when I opened up the door, it had spelled out, "You suck," in ground-up garbage and dog-hair living room rug. So I really didn't feel too bad, And I watched the Super Bowl for the commercials. A lot of favorites that I had. The Budweiser horse and the puppy, that was really cute.
The Budweiser horse.
Yeah, and the one with the one with Arnold playing ping pong?
Doing
and how about the
puppies.
Kia spoof with the Matrix singing opera? Now you wonder how much impact those commercials actually have in the selling of their product, right? I mean, am I actually going to rush out and buy a Kia because all the cars explode into the air as I rush past them, while Lawrence Fishburne sings opera in the back seat? I mean, you fucking bet I will. That'd be so cool. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
But my favorite was the Radio Shack commercial where the 80s were calling and they want their store back. Did you see that? All the TV entertainment icons from the 80s come rushing in. Norm from what the fuck's that show with the bars? Cheers. And Hulk Hogan and Chucky was there, and they were all rushing into a Radio Shack, and they were buying dated equipment like reel-to-reel tape recorders,
Tape players.
and they loaded
Oh,
into a
God.
time-traveling DeLorean and drive off. Now,
Sweet.
most people think that's funny, but you know what? I look around. I've still got 80% of that shit in my house. I don't think that's funny. Okay. A little bit of news. We gotta watch your time here. Ice fishers in Minnesota are reeling from a recent FAA decision prohibiting beer delivery by drone. Okay.
What? No.
Local brewery Lake Maid was testing a new drone delivery system to airlift frosty cases of beer to fishermen holed up in ice shacks on Mill Lacs Lake. After spotting a Lake Maid YouTube video that went up last week, the FAA contacted Lake Maid and told the company to stop. Unfortunately, there is a law currently in the United States against the law to fly drones for commercial purposes or above 400 feet in the United States. Now, the FAA is working on rules, but they probably won't have anything in the air until 2017. Now, it's a downer for all the fishermen, but this is something you'd expect to be done in Canada, wouldn't you? I mean, you know, I understand that. The store was doing this, was using the catching motto, get prone via drone. So, you know, it catches on, right? But, you know, here you are in Canada. Hey, watch this. Hey, here comes some beers. Hey, that's cool. Hey, put some feathers on that and we can shoot it down. Hey, then drink it. Hey, got some munchies to go with that. Now, a story that almost defies belief. You've probably seen it already. A man leaves Mexico in December for a day of shark fishing and ends up surviving 13 months in a one-man boat on fish, birds, and turtles before washing ashore on the Marshall Islands. He identifies himself as Jose Salvador Alvarenga, and he said that he washed ashore on the tiny atoll of Ebon in the Pacific Ocean. In his first press conference since being rescued, he was asked how he could be at sea so long and not have run into at least one ship to rescue him. His reply was, well, I did drift past 2 Carnival cruise ships, but it smelled like shit, and they were worse off than I was, so I figured I would keep on going. Although all the puke and the water attracted fish, I was able to catch food to eat, so I do thank them for that. Okay. Now, coming up this week starts the Sochi Winter Olympics. Just a couple days, amid fears, of course, of terrorist threats against the athletes and the games in general. But President Putin, God bless him, vows the games will be the safest ever. And he's hired 10,000 Cossacks in full dress uniform to serve as extra security. Okay? Now, that's kind of like hiring Hell's Angels to do the security at the beer tent of a Led Zeppelin reunion concert.
They did do that.
I'm not sure I would do that. Okay, but just in case, Putin is having some additional events added to the roster to cover all the bases. Get your tomatoes ready, folks, okay? They include the 100-meter dash for cover, the bomb-sniffing dog relay. Here's a new one, IED curling, the 6,000-meter gay downhill slalom using rainbow-colored skis, and the Black Widow human luge races, to name a couple, okay? That last one is supposed to be an explosive competition. I'm looking forward to it. This Thursday, Jay Leno signs off for the last time on The Tonight Show after 22 years. His last guest is also going to be his first guest, Billy Crystal, who reportedly looked marvelous. And after that, Jimmy Fallon takes over, hoping to woo the younger crowd, which means a monologue of Miley Cyrus quips and Hello Kitty skits. I'm not so looking forward to that, okay? Now, Leno and Fallon were occupied trying to put on their best show, but the best line of the night actually belonged to David Letterman. Leonard was in his last week as host, and Letterman noted, and the Winter Olympics were about to begin. To quote Letterman, 2 events that happen every 4 years.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
I saw this on CNN today. It was an article that was titled 5 Ways to End Rape in Alaska. Okay? Now, I'm no genius, but I can only think of one really good way. Stay the fuck out of Alaska. Problem solved. Okay. Now, real quick, courtesy of the late night talk circuit, here's a couple of lightning bolts from the lightning round. Okay. Last night, of course, was the State of the Union address, and during his speech, Obama promised to focus on economic growth, education, and health care. Or as people tuning in put it, oh crap, it's a rerun. President Obama asked the Americans pitch in and help those who are most down on their luck, like the Lakers. I think he mentioned the Lakers by name. Now, it seems that England's royal family is running out of money. They're down to just 1.6 million. Well, sure, that's what happens when nobody in your family has a job for like the last 1,000 fucking years. At last night's State of the Union address, Obama renewed his call for a path to citizenship for illegal aliens. Yeah, that was popular. Even more popular was his roadblock to citizenship for Justin Bieber. That went over huge. In anticipation of the Winter Olympics, a female curling champion released some sexy photos of herself curling in lingerie. When asked for comment, Americans said they're still not going to watch curling. Immediately after the State of the Union address, Joe Theismann delivered the prostate of the Union. Oprah Winfrey is 60 years old this week. All federal offices and banks are closed. The mayor of Sochi is now saying that there are no gay people in Sochi. So the only thing flaming over there now is the Olympic torch. Justin Bieber was booked for assault for an incident that happened in December. Boy, this kid's on a real crime spree. He's become a menace to society. I liked him better when he was just a menace to music. By the way, when you have Justin Bieber and Rob Ford in the same place, it's like Gotham City getting attacked by the Joker and the Penguin at the same time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your evening.
All right. Man, he sure whipped through that. Well, it's 9 o'clock. Time for Alex. Where's Lauren?
Alex Mays.
We got a small problem, folks. We had to get another stream, but it is in, and I am testing.
Am I in voice?
I know
Hello?
You're in voice.
Okay.
We hear an echo.
And we got stream. All right, let us know when the stream's running. Oh, God bless you.
I know how you feel, Alex. At my age, it's hard to get a good stream going.
Oh.
But you feel good when you get it.